And now, preview time.
Media, entertainment and events, and car partnership, those are three of the areas that we work in. We're not filmmakers, but it's one of the areas that we support, and today I'll be giving you insight on that with some background, a brief locally focused history, and how developments in recent times have changed the sector. So when we use the word show business, there's a tendency to focus on the show, and that's quite right, that's what the product is. But if you strip away the glamour, you have a business model following the same principles of business owners here today. It's about commercial strategy, managing and mitigating risks, branding, customer engagement, investment, and return. So in film production, outside of large Hollywood studios, most independent filmmakers produce their content through SPV, a special purpose vehicle. These are companies set up specifically for each production, and they ring-fence the commercial risks of production to an individual title. As an analogy, it's no different to a builder forming a limited company for a big one-off project. If it flops, the main business is unaffected, mitigating the risk, and that's exactly what an SPV does for film. Setting up an SPV is also a useful way to access industry tax reliefs, and where innovation and sector growth are likely, there's potential for grant funding too. SPVs also simplify accounting, as all contracts, costs and income for the production are contained in a single entity, with investors able to see how the money is used and the SPV holding the rights to the film. Certainly in the independent film sector, producing a new film is effectively a startup business. It needs funding, talent on and off screen, logistics, branding and marketing, a premiere, which is the product, and customer retention through sales, either at the box office or via viewers at home. So what does that mean for local businesses? Quite a lot, actually. Independent films even are often shot on location here in the UK, and that brings production crews, and towns like Eastbourne have people spending money on accommodation, catering, transport, in shops, and with local businesses. But the main opportunity goes beyond the shoot itself. There are many businesses providing support services to the film industry, particularly in post-production, and they're here in Eastbourne too, and East Sussex. East Sussex is also building quite a reputation for hosting film festivals, drawing in audiences from across the world, filling restaurants, hotels, and our high streets. And with streaming, there's a new angle too. Independent filmmakers are constantly looking for partners to help promote their work through sponsorships, tie-ins, and pop-up events. So local businesses have an opportunity to connect with these projects, to get visibility, to align with creative talent, and to be part of something that travels from Eastbourne to Hollywood and beyond. But it's all about the story. Storytelling is as old as humanity. Long before books or films, people gathered around fires to share tales. These stories weren't just entertainment, they carried lessons, values, and identity. In ancient Greece, myths gave us heroes and monsters that still inspire today's blockbusters. And if we go back to around 600 BC, there's a Greek slave called Aesop, who's known for his storytelling ability. And his stories were passed on for centuries before being written down. Aesop's fables, such as The Tortoise and the Hare, are simple, memorable, and packed with truth. And these stories survive today because they speak to something universal. Fast forward to the late 19th century and cinema arrives. Suddenly, stories can be seen and heard by thousands at once. Hollywood became the campfire of the modern age, but the essence was still the same. Compelling characters, real struggles, and lessons that resonate. So why does that matter to us here at DigiFest? It's because storytelling isn't just for Hollywood. Every business today has the tools to tell stories on screen, whether it's a short video on social media, a brand film, or a customer story. You're participating in the same tradition as Aesop and Spielberg. And audiences are hungry for this too. They don't just want adverts, they want meaning, connection, and authenticity. They want to see themselves reflected, whether it's from a superhero on the big screen or from a local business that's involved with its community. That's the opportunity in front of all of us. Storytelling doesn't have to be about budget, it's about impact, it's about making your audience feel something. And when you do that, you're not just selling, you're creating loyalty, emotion, and trust. With that in mind, I hope you'll take something away from my talk today that could be useful to your business, including a peek behind the curtain to see what creative people are doing with technology from Eastbourne to Hollywood to create exciting content. But first, let me take you back to 2017. Many experts in the IT sector believe 2017 was a turning point, or technological revolution. As until then, most of us thought of our phones as just phones. Gadgets for calls, texts, checking emails, and if you were lucky, basic web searches. But something transformational happened around that time, is when smartphones quietly caught up with desktop computers, rather like Aesop's tortoise with the hare. Suddenly, the thing in your pocket had as much power as the thing sitting on your desk. Faster processors, better screens, reliable mobile internet. It all clicked into place with the tap of a finger. And what did we do? As consumers, with all that extra power, we started streaming, and video became king. Instead of having to sit in front of your TV, tablet, or computer, you could watch instantly at the bus stop, in a coffee shop, even standing in a queue. High-quality video streaming right there in the palm of your hands. For business, that was a game changer, because from that moment on, customers were no longer passively walking past a shop window or waiting to see an ad in the paper. They were carrying a screen in their pocket that could show you their products, your services, your story, anytime, anywhere. 2017 wasn't just another tech milestone, it really was the point where the mobile phone became the way people experienced the internet. And that shift is still shaping the way businesses reach and engage with customers today. If you look at the history of filmmaking, it's really a story of technology constantly opening new doors. Over in Brighton, there's a plaque celebrating William Free Screen, who issued a patent in 1889 for one of the first motion picture cameras, and we've got one of his early films on screen today. 100 years ago, the Americans brought sound to film, and suddenly stories had voices. Meanwhile, Free Screen had been experimenting with colour film as early as 1904 in Brighton. And by the 1930s and 40s, colour film completely changed the way audiences connected with characters and places. But let's not forget the small screen, with John Logie Baird over in Hastings, who not only invented the world's first television back in 1926, but also achieved transatlantic television transmissions by 1928, and by 1944 had invented the world's practical colour TV. You can see one of its original televisors, like this, over in Hastings, and the screen on it is about the size of an iPad, and it's in black and white. Fast forward to the 80s and 90s, and we see the rise of home video and DVDs, which meant people could bring films into their living rooms. Then digital cameras and computer effects arrived, making it possible to create worlds that had never existed before. By the 2000s, the internet and platforms like YouTube put video production and distribution into everybody's hand. The evolution of the smartphone meant that not only were they powerful enough to watch cinema-quality films, but also to shoot and edit them. Effectively, what once needed a Hollywood studio can be done from your pocket and shared instantly with the world. Last year, the average person at home in the UK spent about 4.5 hours each day watching video content. Of that, around 2.5 hours was watching traditional scheduled broadcast TV on a TV set. And this year, that's declining massively at pace. In 2025, almost 70% of UK homes have access to at least one subscription video on demand or SVOD service. That includes major services such as Netflix, with access in around 60% of homes, and others like Paramount, Discovery, Apple TV, and Now TV in about 6 to 11% of homes. Advertising-supported streaming services are growing, with more subscribers opting for cheaper, ad-free support plans rather than paying for premium ad-free ones. Free broadcast-led streaming is also growing, a strong example being UK TV's You, aimed at the older end of the market. Its numbers of views have doubled over the last 2 years, with its active user base and content hours both growing, including my mum, who still buys a newspaper TV guide to see what they have on catch-up, as she calls it. This year, YouTube became the second most watched video service in the UK after the BBC TV's Channels and iPlayer, pushing ITV into third place as they celebrated their 70th birthday. People are watching YouTube not only on phones, tablets and computers, but also significantly via TV sets, with Ofcom reporting that even 16 to 34-year-olds are moving away from their phones to watch around 18 minutes a day of YouTube on their TV, whilst children aged 4 to 15 head straight to YouTube when switching on the TV. As my 24-year-old friend says, whilst there's YouTube, how's the time to watch anything else? And over 55s are during this revolution too, doubling their viewing of YouTube over the last year alone. It could well be the case that in the same way we hoover a floor rather than vacuuming, or Google something rather than saying we're using a search engine, in future years we might say we YouTube something instead of saying we watch the TV. Around 500 hours of video are being uploaded to YouTube every minute, with over 20 billion videos on the platform over the 20 years it's been in operation. As of May this year, YouTube indexed as the world's most popular social media app. Now, you might think that ocean of video content is crushing news to filmmakers, but it's the opposite. The most significant thing to have come from the internet and content sharing platforms is the vast quantity of data they have about individuals. It's what drives a UK digital ad spend that's currently around £37 billion a year. The ever-growing appetite for great stories to be told needs to be satisfied, and audiences can easily be fed a bite of a good movie by hyper-targeting them via social media. Here in 2025, it's estimated that 79% of the UK population have social media accounts. As a result, it's a very effective way to promote a film through incredibly targeted, high-reach advertising to extremely specific demographics, to guarantee the right audience is aware of your product, which, if it's a film, is visual by nature, and therefore ideal for advertising on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, and any other number of outlets that can click through to each other, via traditional adverts, through influencers, with memes, teasers, and full-blown trailers, all of which you can monetize too. Hyper-targeting is fabulous for filmmakers. And given that, according to YouTube themselves, the videos we watch are getting both shorter and longer, YouTube is fast moving towards being a realistic economic prospect to release films direct to audiences, in addition to promoting them. Despite the popularity of the small screen video, across Gen Z and Gen Alpha, there's a growing resurgence of cinema audiences. These younger people, many of whom choose lifestyles that don't include the level of alcohol consumption that some of us may remember being normal about 20 years ago, they're turning to shared experience of cinema, bringing them back to high streets across the UK to watch films. So there's the background from a business and marketing perspective. Now, time for a whistle-stop tour of some of the techniques used in filmmaking that, if you've never been involved in producing audio or video content, you may not be aware of. And if you are a content maker, sorry, but you've already been likely to be doing this and far more already. Car Partnership have been working with Eastbourne-based Drop Dead Films for some time, predominantly on productions I can't tell you anything about, so sorry about that. But I can start with a film trailer for 13 Graves that you can watch from Eastbourne to Hollywood and many other places across the globe. Earlier this year, I even met a student from Latvia who said 13 Graves had been used by her university as part of their film studies. So here we go.
This forest doesn't want us to leave. Wants us here to pay for what we done.
Bury him with his mates.
I've got 11 million quid and you can have it, you two, all of it. Just let me walk away.
Dick.
Someone dug him up. Someone dug them all up.
Two in the chest, and I'll drop like the rest.
So, on to my next topic. Filmmaking is about creating layers. Smoke effects and lighting changes are just two that's easy to fill a room with. Although you don't always need to film anything yourself, there are times when using library or stock footage is more convenient and often a cheaper alternative to shooting something specifically for production. Take Eastbourne, for example. In the example here, from a company called Pond 5, who are often seen credited on film and TV programmes, have a lovely aerial shot sweeping across Eastbourne Beach on a beautiful day. And for 99 quid, you can use that commercially in a film rather than booking a full crew and waiting for a sunny day, which actually could take you some time in Eastbourne. Oh, shock horror. Music's also used to create atmosphere and stir emotion. And from a film perspective, all music has composers and musicians right attached to it. So I'm going to show a clip from a film where the music score was composed for the production, not only for creative reasons, but also to streamline the rights and payments. So the rights and payments for the music, instead of going through a whole huge list of record companies, go through the film's SPV, and the composer gets paid directly, which is more equitable. So there you go, a short clip. Now, what else have we had? We had sound effects, or SFX. They're part of the soundscape, integral to it. And so when I play that clip again with the sound effects track added, you hear another layer. So we're building up the layers there. So here's another example where multiple layers of sound effects and music have been added to add to something that doesn't make any noise. So those little worms don't actually make any noise at all, funnily enough, which wouldn't sound right in the film. But adding to the layers again, let's stick with sound. Additional layers such as 5.1 audio, more commonly known as surround sound, can be added too. 5.1 is used in cinemas and home theatre systems. 3 speakers at the front, 2 at the back, and the 0.1 refers to a subwoofer, which makes deep bass, low frequency sounds that you can feel more than you can hear, and they create the fully immersive experience. Cinemas often have more speakers down the side for 7.1 and 9.1 systems, and they've just more layers and more soundtracks that are all created separately as part of it. So this is difficult to do without putting 5.5 speakers in the room. So I'll play a different clip, and this is what you would hear in the middle.
My case? Oi! Careful with that! Neanderthal. Hello? No. Go on. Who cancelled? Who?
So there it is, just the dialogue. Now let's concentrate on what you'd hear at the back of the cinema. And then, finally, let's see what's at the front, left and right.
My case? Oi! Careful with that! Neanderthal. Hello? No. Go on. Who cancelled? Who?
So there we go. Right, meanwhile, on your mobile device and your ultra-thin TV with the tiniest little speakers ever, all these sounds are remixed into 2 channels and squashed up using something called compression. The same is true of video, and that's why we can stream video, because it's all squashed up. And the reason that cinema is still a draw is that audience like to see the films as they're meant to be when they were made. let's look at that another way. Equally, filmmakers don't shoot on smartphones. The reason being that if you stretch out a picture from your smartphone to a 10-metre wide cinema screen, it'll look pretty awful. The most expensive thing to do with filming is probably the lens on front of the camera. It costs you about £60,000. So if somebody says they have shot on an iPhone, it probably looked like that with a big lens stuck in front of it. And similar to the building project analogy I used earlier for SPVs, expensive camera kit is hired in by filmmakers for the short duration film, right, like you would with a building site plant machinery. Aspect ratios. Most of us can see our two eyes and they're placed horizontally on our heads for best effect to look at our natural environment. It's unlikely you'd be impressed if my entire presentation was put in that format, which is vertical smartphone format. And in terms of aspect ratios, here are lots of different ones. Now, the ones you've most used are probably a big yellow one, which is telly size, and then the one at the back, the blue that goes all across, that's the size of a movie, which would stretch out a lot. Knowing what the aspect ratio is quite important. Filmmakers now consider this when they're making film because they can get maximum promotional value after different parts of their film by shooting for different aspect ratios. And you can see on their various social media have got different aspect ratios that they would crop what is effectively a telly image to, so it's even more cropped with the film. Let's move on to ADR. Automated dialogue replacement is basically dubbing where the sound from the original track is replaced by something that's recorded separately. Now, and usually because there's been lots of noise when it was originally recorded, you want to make it sound different, and the reason for that is it's simpler than going back to the studio or location to film it again, which is obviously very expensive. And I thought I'd do that today with someone who's facing a very serious dilemma.
So I sent the dress to the seamstress and she hemmed it, but she hemmed it too short, so now I don't even know what to do. I'm really stressed about it. So I sent the dress to the seamstress and she hemmed it, but she hemmed it too short, so now I don't even know what to do. I'm really stressed about it. So I sent the dress to the seamstress and she hemmed it, but she hemmed it too short, so now I don't even know what to do. I'm really stressed about it.
And that's how we get rid of background noise quite easily. I don't know what happened with the dress, but there we are. Anyway, moving on, gripping stuff there. There's nothing technological in this next topic, but often the simplest and oldest techniques are most effective. Rather than we have ADR to replace sound, pickups are not to do with dating. They're shots filmed at a different time to the main or principal filming, and they're added when editing takes place. And this could be because the shot wasn't taken in the first place, or because it doesn't look right when you come to edit. With most films being shot on a single camera, takes of different scenes are done several times from different angles, including close-ups of casts, showing their reactions to situations, or cutaways, where, for example, in the situation of a character reading a message on their phone, the next shot could be a close-up of the phone message. Here's a high-octane version of all the layers I've discussed today, along with props, stunts, VFX, and grading. It's part of a scene from Drop Dead Film's 13 Graves, and whilst unusually, I've managed to avoid any profanity in my talk today. Surprise, surprise. This scene does contain the most offensive language in the English dictionary, so please cover your ears if you're sensitive to that.
Harry, wait.
Fuck. Fuck me, did you have to?
Yes, I fucking did! Cunt!
What?
Oh, result. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
So there we are, all the elements I covered in the talk so far. So now let's look at moving on, I don't know, probably from the last year or so. Let's look at post-production. Post-production is manufacturing. It assembles component parts, and it used to be incredibly time-consuming. All the parts you used to have to line up on a video timeline, and it could take weeks, and that's called line-up. As of this year, all major editing software now has the ability to import the script of the film and line up all the layers of video, audio, automatically ready for editing. Through audio and facial and object recognition, transcription, and various other tools, masses of metadata are created and analysed, and a lineup can now be created in hours rather than days. A best take of a scene can be suggested. Automated ADR can be achieved by manipulating the existing content, and music and sound effects cues can be highlighted on the timeline with dummy content. Suggested stock footage can be added to fill gaps where elements don't yet exist. And for promotional content, AI can select and crop clips to export to mobile devices in multiple aspect ratio. The Creative's cloud-based collaborative tools are transforming post-production. And where previously tasks were completed in a linear fashion in one facility than another, it's now possible to collectively work on those elements at the same time, not dissimilar, albeit in a more technical way, to a shared Word document. Technology is being adapted alongside traditional filmmaking techniques in production too, and thinking of outside the box is usually suggested, but at London Tech Week, here's me stuck in time.
And here's Brian. Live streamed as a hologram into London Tech Week on the Mirage holographic display.
Absolutely, a lot of
Hi.
Yes.
Looking good, looking sharp.
There's a couple of different companies that do different ways.
There's lots of room in there, lots of room.
So there you go, there's the fake me. Those of you who attended DigiFest 2 years ago will have seen Racket Studios' virtual production facilities, and that's now commonplace across feature filmmaking and TV. It's a major advance over the green screen that we've got as a bit of fun on our interactive stage today. And also on our partnership stage is augmented reality that places you in your own world with other characters. And you may have already met Otto the Clown. He's from Drop Dead Films' latest production that's been released later this year. And he's here today in conjunction with Circus, who have a talk on the stage at 3:05 today. So they're all incredible tools where technology vastly speeds up the process. But remember, they support rather than replace the humans, the creatives, the storytellers. For high-quality content, the nuances of real people aren't yet replaceable and may never be. Finally, when we talk about independent film, we're talking about stories made outside the big studios. These are films often produced on tighter budgets, but with huge creativity and cultural value. The challenge isn't just making the film, it's getting it seen, and that's where distribution comes in. Traditionally, independent films relied on cinemas, festivals, and DVD sales. But as that landscape has changed dramatically, independent filmmakers can now distribute through streaming platforms, VOD services, and even direct to audience via social media. This means more films can find their audience, but it also means competition for attention is tougher than ever. Many small UK independent filmmakers abandon the industry after making one film and never seeing any return of their financial or emotional investment. And this is because they're generally not business people, nor do they have access to resources that an established production company has. And that would enable them to confidently pursue deals with distributors or purchasers. So, here with a solution. At Car Partnership and Drop Dead Films, we've been working with industry to address this challenge for UK filmmakers. And we're currently in the research and development phase of a platform that uses machine learning and AI to simplify and automate many of the legal and business aspects of distribution for filmmakers. That's one of our projects across media, entertainment and events. If you'd like to know more about Car Partnership, come to our stand for a chat. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day at Eastbourne DigiFest.